Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Mickey Steins will appear in court later today after being charged with the murder of District Judge Kevin Mullins. And Americans across the nation are preparing for one of the busiest Thanksgiving travel weeks ever.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Carmouche. Today is November 25th. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Now, Megan, we've already kind of talked about it, but people are looking for a Monday treat. Hopefully the weather's got it for them.
For your Monday, yes. And we do have some warmer temperatures today, starting off the day and going into the afternoon. So that is a little bit of a treat for you. Taking a look at those current temperatures. As you can see, it's quite warm as you're heading towards Monticello. And as you're heading towards Somerset, even 52. But that's when you're tracking towards more of the easterly counties. It's still warmer than last week, but it is colder than the rest of the areas. 30 degrees right now in Grundy. But here is the treat. Everybody can expect those low to mid 60s for your high. Again, this won't be the story as you're heading into the rest of your week, but for this time of year, you typically expect the high temperature to be in the mid 50s. So we're seeing quite warm temperatures for your November. Satellite and radar right now really just looking at the clouds as the story this morning, but that'll continue to change as we do have some rain that will be sprinkled throughout the midday hours, and then we have heavier rain chances as you're going into the afternoon. But let's look at the next 12 hours. There you can see that temperature trend increasing. We'll have warmer temperatures as you're heading into your afternoon hours. Madison.
All right, Megan, thank you. A former Eastern Kentucky sheriff is set to appear in court later today. Mickey Steins was indicted by a Letcher County grand jury on one count of murder in connection with the death of District Judge Kevin Mullins. Steins pleaded not guilty in an arraignment on September 25th, and his attorney announced his decision to retire the following week. Steins will be arraigned in the Letcher County Circuit Courtroom on Monday at noon. A woman accused of murdering her husband is due in court in Laurel County. Police say back in March, Yolanda Lamelli called 911 and told them her husband had been shot. Police found Manuel Lamelli Jr. dead at the scene. An arrest citation says Lamelli didn't call for help until her son asked her to. She is charged with murder and evidence tampering. Lamelli's hearing is at 9. A man charged in a sexual assault on campus was arrested in Louisville this past weekend. UK police say the sexual assault happened November 10th at Rose Street and Euclid Avenue. They used security cameras on campus to identify Saif Al-Khafaji as a suspect. Detectives issued an arrest warrant Thursday. Louisville Airport Police arrested him Saturday. He's charged with first-degree sexual abuse and second-degree indecent exposure. A Salyersville man pleaded guilty for the possession and distribution of child sex abuse material and a sexual crime against an animal. Following a cyber tip, law enforcement searched the IP address and social media of Kent Simpkins. Law enforcement found images of minors involved in sexual acts and several animal sex videos. A 10-year sentence was recommended for Simpkins by the Attorney General's Special Prosecutions Unit. Simpkins will be sentenced on March 6th. Last week, 2 city officials in Wayne County, West Virginia, were arrested on several charges, including embezzlement. Joetta Hatfield is the mayor of Fort Gay, and Sheila Bowen is the town recorder. They were arraigned in magistrate court Friday, according to criminal complaints filed. The charges stem from their work for the town of Fort Gay in incidents dating back to 2019. The family of a Louisville man killed in a deadly shooting is hoping to turn their pain into love. Earl Crawford was shot and killed last weekend. Police say it happened after an argument with another man. Saturday, Crawford's family held a prayer vigil and love walk to remember him. They say their goal was to show people there are alternatives to violence.
He had a light that shined, and he touched so many people. He always had this magnetic smile, this magnetic personality. He could bring people together. It was a second nature, a superpower of his.
Police arrested 60-year-old Kevin Powell after the shooting. He faces murder, assault, and gun possession charges. He will appear in court next month. Attorney General Russell Coleman is calling on Congress to protect children from harm on the internet. Coleman and 30 Attorney General are calling for the passage of the bipartisan Kids Online Safety Act before the end of the year. Some of the provisions include addiction prevention, allowing young users to disable manipulative design features, and parental empowerment, which would provide parents with tools to identify harmful behaviors. One Pike County mother turned her grief into giving with an annual toy drive in honor of her daughter. Malia's Memorial Christmas Toy Drive was created in 2016 when Melanie Reed welcomed her daughter into the world but never got to take her home. Malia's birth and death, and the fact that she would never wear the Christmas outfit her mother picked out, sparked the mission to collect donations to make sure children in area hospitals would receive a little Christmas cheer. Melanie says the community has rallied behind the drive, helping to keep the mission and Malia's story alive since 2016.
And I think if I hadn't channeled that grief into this, nobody would really even know who she is, you know? And I think that every life, no matter how small, deserves to be celebrated and to be honored and remembered.
The drive is still accepting donations for this year's delivery, which will serve patients at Pikeville Medical Center's M2 Children's Hospital and the Children's Hospital in Tennessee. With the winter weather back in the forecast, advocates for the unhoused communities are concerned about their fate. West Care Emergency Shelter houses folks in need in the Pike County area and serves neighbors in Floyd and Letcher counties. Its workers have noted an increase in the number of unhoused individuals, which brings fear to the forefront as the temperatures decrease. And workers say while they are trying to increase their outreach, they fear lawmakers are making the unhoused neighbors feel even more alone with measures like House Bill 5 that passed earlier this year, which makes street camping criminal.
Now these people are going to have to be pushed to more dangerous areas. You know, they're living in the woods. They're, you know, public property. If you're caught under a bridge, they'll give you a fine. And that's someone who has nothing but, hey, let's hit you with a Class B misdemeanor and a $250 fine. To me, that's why a lot of people don't want help, is because if they can't trust their representatives in Frankfort, why would they trust me?
Workers say they will continue to reach out to those in need through the cold, hoping to create a safer space for them to feel seen, heard, and welcome. The country is gearing up for more record-breaking travel this Thanksgiving holiday week. AAA predicts that nearly 80 million Americans will hit the skies, roads, tracks, and seas. As CBS News' Naomi Ruckham reports from New York, there's also a bright spot for drivers this year.
The Thanksgiving rush has already begun at airports across the country.
Everything's cool. Getting on the flight seems pretty good.
AAA says more than 5 million Americans will take to the skies this week, with the FAA forecasting that the highest number of flights, more than 50,000, will take off tomorrow. The Transportation Security Administration says it's working to keep passengers moving, with screening wait times predicted at less than 30 minutes for regular flyers. That drops to 10 minutes for those with TSA PreCheck.
This year, passenger volumes are the highest we've ever seen. And fortunately, our staffing in TSA is also at the highest levels that they have ever been.
Severe weather forecasts of cold temps, heavy rain, and snow in parts of the country this week could also create some air travel delays.
I expect it to be crazy. It probably will take a little bit, so go ahead and adjust.
Weather could also impact the more than 71 million Americans expected to hit the highways this holiday week. But there's some good news for drivers. Prices at the pump are falling.
That's going to give folks a little bit more money in their pocketbooks for those holiday ingredients and, of course, those Black Friday shopping deals.
AAA says the national average price for regular gasoline could dip below $3 a gallon this week. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
AAA also says the heaviest travel times for those hitting the roads this week are Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. They are urging drivers to leave earlier in the day to avoid rush hour commuters. Eastern Kentucky University celebrated the acceptance of SNAP benefits at the Stratton POD convenience store with a ribbon cutting. EKU President David McFadden says the initiative ensures students don't have to choose between education and basic needs. The effort, led by EKU's Food Security Coalition, builds on the work of the Colonel's Cupboard, which has supported students facing food insecurity for 10 years. Just ahead, an iconic can is getting a remodel as Campbell's Soup rebrands and moves forward.
And rain chances are in the forecast today. Will it affect your plants? I'll have that answer coming up.